All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk. I'm Gonzo, joined by the Sports Judge. How's it going, Judge?
What's up, my brother? How are you doing tonight? It is a fabulous Tuesday here on the West Coast. I know it's late over there in Indiana, but hey, thanks for staying up with me, Gonzo, as always, to do another episode of Gonzo and the Judge. We are streaming live from our YouTube channels, and we're also streaming live from our Facebook pages as well. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to have all our viewers who are watching with us tonight. Let's do it. We got a lot to unpack tonight. There's a lot to talk about. We even got a game 7 going on. It doesn't look good for the Phillies. It looks like the Diamondbacks are going to the World Series. Something I didn't want to happen because the last thing I wanted was a Rangers Diamondbacks World Series, but I think we'll talk about that. And the 49ers. Brock Purdy finally looked like a human. We'll talk about that too. What's going on, Gunzo? How are you feeling?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Been watching a little bit of this baseball game. Watched a little bit of the Nuggets beating the Lakers. With NBA kicking off tonight as well. So got a lot going on. Full slate of hockey games tonight. All 32 hockey teams played tonight. First time in a long time that they've all played on the same night. And ESPN kicked off their first night of the what was it? Frozen Frenzy, I think they're calling it. Their version of NFL Red Zone for hockey.
Right. I heard about that. That sounds pretty neat, actually. It's their version of the Red Zone. So I guess when they're close to scoring or when they're in a territory where they can score the puck, you get to see it. I really don't know how it works, but
I haven't got a chance to check it out yet.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check it out either, but I do want to check it out because that sounds like a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool, but I've been watching mostly this baseball game, but looks like the Phillies are going to come up a little short.
I haven't even checked out the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors game because I've been so locked in watching the baseball game. My eyes have been, glued to the TV.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me it's hard to get into the NBA this early in the year.
Not for me because I've been waiting for basketball to return. So, every time a new season kicks in, I'm hyped up. I'm fired up, man. I'm ready. It's been away from us so long that I'm just ready to have it back again.
Yeah, I'll watch the Pacers tomorrow night. It's their opener. I'll watch like the Pacer games, but to where I just get where I'm watching like all NBA. It takes a little bit later in the season for that. Other than like maybe if there's a big game on, there's no football on, but there's football on. I'm watching football.
Because I guess if you're a fan of all sports, no one really cares about the NBA early in the season. Most people start to really pay attention in the month of February after the
And I
All
thought,
Star break. That's when it gets good because you got teams making a playoff push. Uh, you know, basketball becomes more competitive after the second half of the season. It just
yeah.
gets more exciting. So I think people start to, care more about basketball once the NFL season comes to an end because everyone is watching football.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with baseball. When baseball first starts, you have a lot of people don't pay attention to baseball till it gets closer to All Star break or
Right,
after.
right. Right, because it's the lone sport in the summer, right? It's the only thing really going in the summer, and it gets us through the summer. And that's when people start watching baseball. And then again, people turn away from baseball if their team doesn't go deep into the month of October. You got a lot of casual fans that won't watch this World Series, especially if the Diamondbacks make it.
Well, Diamondbacks have made it, and I watch it.
I'll watch it too.
I was hoping the Phillies would make it. I'm not a
Right.
Phillies fan by any means, but I do like Bryce Harper and I like Castellanos. So I was hoping they would make it get a return there this season, and I thought that'd be a good matchup with them and the Rangers. It don't bother me the Diamondbacks made it because man, they're a fun team to watch. They remind me a lot of
Young.
the Cincinnati Reds being a young, scrappy team. And I watched the Reds all season, and when you watch the Diamondbacks, they play a similar style of baseball. So I mean, it's
Right.
cool to see a young team be able to make this kind of run. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
And
looking forward to Friday.
you got some exciting names, right? You got the dude with the purple hair, with the flashy, nice looking Jordan ones, the purple Jordan ones that he's been rocking each night. Those cleats are fire, by the way. And then you got the young Corbin Carroll, uh, who has emerged into a star for the team. He is a star in the making, no question about it. And he's clearly the NL Rookie of the Year, no doubt about it. If he doesn't win it, it's blasphemy to me because this guy clearly is the Rookie of the Year. The way he's played this season, and look how far the Diamondbacks have gotten. They made it to the World Series. They put the Dodgers out of their misery. They beat them. They swept them. At least the Phillies can say they won a couple of games in the series. They didn't get swept, but the Diamondbacks were clearly the better team. The Diamondbacks, they shined on the big stage, and they finished the Phillies off on the road in Game 7. It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, you can't make any of this stuff up. You can't script it. The Diamondbacks are really going to the World Series. And that's usually what happens, right, Gunzo? And I keep telling these people that the teams that we always expect to reach the World Series, hardly do they ever get to the World Series. Like everybody was talking about the Braves being this historically good team. Everyone was saying that the Braves were the favorites, that nobody was going to beat the Atlanta Braves because they were the deepest team in baseball. They were the most complete team in baseball. They had so much speed on the bases. They had a slugger by the name of Ronald Acuna Jr. They had the brightest star in the game in Ronald Acuna Jr. Everyone was talking about Matt Olson and how well he played. And then you had the Dodgers, arguably the second best team in the National League. And what did they do? They did it once again. It's become very repetitive because it happens year after year. And they choked. They choked on the big stage. They can never pile up any runs or can never get any hits in the month of October. I don't know what it is. So the teams that we, thought were favorites to win it all, they let us down once again. And look, you got a team that no one counted on or that no one put in the World Series, and they finally made it, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. Impressive stuff.
Well, and you see that in baseball because baseball's a fickle sport where it's all about being hot at the right time. getting the ball to bounce the ball happens to bounce your way at the right time. I mean, it's a game of failure. I mean, it's the only sport where you can hit the ball 25% of the time and you're considered to be good at it. So I mean, if you're doing something 25% of the time and anything else in life, it's considered a failure. So I mean, baseball's opposite of about any other sport there is. So it's just an interesting game, and a lot comes down to who's hot at the right time. And we saw it a few years ago with the Washington Nationals, who was one of the worst teams in baseball the first half of the season. Then after All-Star break, caught fire and went on to win a World Series. So I mean, we've seen some of these underdog teams be able to come back and pull it off, and I think that's what is going to make this World Series interesting. Is people are going to watch to see is the underdog going to be able to take the Rangers down.
Right? It's David versus Goliath, because clearly you look at it, the Rangers are the favorites. The Rangers have this powerful lineup, right? You have Corey Seager, you have Marcus Semien, you have
Garcia.
Oh my goodness, Garcia is just, man, that dude is absolutely insane right now.
He had 15 RBIs.
He's seeing the ball well. He is really seeing the ball well right now.
That's the record in one series, but if he gets two more RBIs in the World Series, he'll have the record for playoffs. And
like Corey Seager said, he's a bad man. He's bad, you know, because I mean that dude makes it look easy. The way he swings the bat, you know, that's grown man strength right there. You know, and this guy had 4 home runs in 4 straight games or something like that.
Yeah, he hit a grand slam Sunday. Yeah, and one of them was a grand slam.
It's impressive. He's doing his thing. He has shown up for the moment, and he has relished the moment and the opportunity. And you look at Corey Seager, man, the former Dodger. He's going back to the World Series. He's had some moments in this series, and I'm happy for Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy, I have mad respect for him. I think he's one of the game's greatest managers. He's old school. You know, he took this team to the World Series. And did you know this, Gonzo? That he's the only manager in Major League Baseball history to take 3 different teams to the World Series. He did it with the Padres. He did it with the San Francisco Giants, and now he's done it with the Texas Rangers.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's a great manager. I thought it was a great hire for the Rangers. I thought he would turn them around. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't necessarily think he was going to have him in the World Series in his first year there, just because of how bad the Rangers had been over the last couple of years. But if you look at the Rangers last year, they had a good offense last year. The problem last year was their pitching. And they done a lot this year to really change that pitching staff. And if you think about it, hell, they have DeGrom who's injured that they could even have on this team. Scherzer's starting to come back at the right time. Had a couple starts in this series. One didn't go great. The other one wasn't too bad. They kind of kept him on a short leash. I think he'll look better in the World Series now. He's getting some reps in after that injury. So, yeah, I think this Rangers team is going to be a tough team to beat. But this Diamondbacks is a scrappy team, and they don't give up until that last out. So I think it'll be an interesting series.
And also the Rangers, they've been able to hold it together, considering the fact that their starting rotation at times has been very thin, because you lose Jacob deGrom to a season-ending injury. He didn't come back. There was stretches where you didn't have Max Scherzer. Now he's back in the starting rotation, and you had to hope that guys like Dane Dunning and all those guys will pitch well. They'll pick up the slack for you. And then to me, you got a big game pitcher in Nathan Eovaldi. I think that dude's a big game pitcher. He kind of reminds me of a Josh Beckett, not a flashy name, not one of those guys that really stand out or pop out at you, but he gets the job done. You know, you can trust him, and you can hand him the ball in a game 7 in a situation like that, and you know that he's going to most likely come through for you and get the job done, because he's, to me, a big game pitcher. So when you have a guy like that in your rotation, then you have Max Scherzer, and then you have a guy like Dane Dunning who can provide some length. It's good. And then don't forget you traded for Jordan Montgomery, who's been consistent as well. So I mean, the Rangers have a great rotation, and they have a pretty solid bullpen as well. But you're right; it's going to be a great World Series. Arizona Diamondbacks are in the World Series against all odds, and I just think it's going to be one hell of a series.
Before we get off baseball here, also we had one of the best managers we've seen in baseball retire last night after the Houston Astros got put out. Did it surprise you that Dusty Baker retired?
It doesn't surprise me. The timing of the situation does a bit, because you would have thought he would have rolled off into the sunset last year. He came back another year, probably hoping that they will make another run for a championship, that they could repeat as champions. But we all know that repeating as champions is the toughest thing in any professional sport.
Extremely
it's
hard.
not easy. So I think it's not that much of a surprise to see Dusty Baker announce that he's retiring. He's been doing this a very long time. I mean, the man is up in age. He's 37. Or I mean, not 37. Where I pull that number from? He's in his 70s or something like that.
I think he's 77.
Yeah, he's close to 80. See, he's approaching 80. So yeah, there's a time. There comes a time in life where you gotta give it up. You gotta say, you know what? I've done my time in this. I've been around for a long time. It's someone else's turn to take my place. It's someone else's turn to do this job. I've done it a long time. I finally won that ring as a manager. Now I can call it quits, enjoy time with my family, step away from the game. And if I want to do something, I can still analyze on TV. If I want to stay involved in the game of baseball, there's other ways I can do it. I don't have to manage anymore. I can still be a part of the game by being in a broadcast booth, or maybe in the studio as an analyst, or maybe I can, be a consultant or something, or hang out in a luxury suite with team executives. There's other options for him, but I think he's ready to step away from the game. He's done it a long time, and he finally accomplished the goal and was able to do something that he was set out to do, and that was to win a World Series ring as a manager.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me that he retired. He's been a manager for like 26 years. And that's not counting the great playing career that he had as a player as well. So, I mean, dude's done a lot for the game. It did kind of surprise me that he done it right after the game, right after the loss like that. I thought maybe he would, if he was going to retire, he'd maybe wait a couple days or whatever. But I think he's just ready. The schedule of a major league manager, man, is just crazy. A baseball schedule is crazy. I mean, you might have 12, 13 games straight before you have a day off. So I mean, it's just a crazy schedule. I think he's ready for him to lay back, probably hit that fishing boat and relax for a little while. And I mean, can't blame him after 26 years of being a manager, and he's had a lot of success at different places. Probably most notably the Giants. I would say most people are going to remember him for what he done with the Giants, even though he did have a great run with the Astros, but he just won so many games with the Giants that I think he's going to be probably remembered for that more in managing than the Astros a little bit. I know he had some stints with the Cubs and the Reds and some Washington. So dude bounced around a little bit, but he had a lot of success in different places and was able to win some world championships. So you can't discredit the man, and hopefully he can enjoy some other things besides baseball for a little while.
Yeah, he is definitely among the most respected people in the game. I think a lot of people really look up to Dusty Baker, and he will be missed. He will definitely be missed. with the benefit of gratitude, my thoughts are about Dusty Baker. Is that he's a Hall of Fame manager. He's a Hall of Fame manager, no question about it. He has the individual accolades, and we've seen him guide teams to the World Series, the Giants. We've seen him lead the Astros to a World Series championship a year ago, and he lifted the Astros like nobody ever had. I would say that. It's tough to walk into a situation post a cheating scandal and be able to maintain the culture and help that team stay in competition like he did. And that's what he did. And I mean, you got to say he did an amazing job. Not only with the Astros, but during his time with the San Francisco Giants and the Chicago Cubs and even the Washington Nationals.
And then we moving on to some NFL news, man. We had a crazy weekend in the NFL, but it was kind of marred by the referees. And not in just NFL, even in college football this weekend, just football refs this weekend, and kind of put a hamper on the weekend. I know in Colts game we had two terrible calls at the end of the game that kind of helped the Browns beat the Colts. Colts had that turnover and when the game was over, and they called a couple terrible calls. Rams took a terrible call against Pittsburgh and went on a first down call that wasn't even close. And then in college football, did you see what happened to Iowa on that punt return where they called it back? And so, I mean, we're with all the money that's bet on these games, these leagues have to figure out somehow to fix this and not let this be a recurring problem, or it's really going to start a lot of people are going to start questioning the integrity of the game, and you're already getting that with people saying that the NFL is scripted and rigged and stuff, and they need to figure out a way to try to shut down that narrative before it gets too big.
I was about to say, I do think people already have that in their heads that this league is rigged, that the refs are probably betting on these games. I mean, that's some of the conspiracy theories behind it, right? And that's what people truly believe. I think officiating for a very long time, and this is nothing new, it's been inconsistent. You talk about the inconsistencies, the missed calls, the no calls, the BS calls that leaves you wondering what the heck is going on here, in the National Football League.
But I think it really stood out. I think it really stood out this weekend probably more than it has all NFL season.
Because looking at that Rams game on Sunday, Kenny Pickett, he did not pick up a first down. Like that was.
I don't know if you saw the end of the Colts and Browns game, but them two calls were terrible as well.
That was a blatant call. Like, how did he pick up the first down? I mean, what did you see that everyone else didn't? I don't know. Like, that was mind-blowing to me. Like, that was utterly insane. I just don't get it. I don't think these refs, some of these refs, are qualified to be refs. I think they need more training, maybe. I mean, I don't really know what it is, but I think they need to be held accountable. I understand they have a tough job. Making calls in real time is not always easy. I mean, it's gonna be human error. You're gonna get it wrong. But if you're a team, this is why you want to be able to maintain a comfortable lead, because you never want to see a game end based on technicality. And
Oh,
we see that too often now. And like this weekend, we had a lot of controversial calls.
yeah, and what I don't understand is throughout the game they'll use the expedited replay where they use that fifth referee that's up in the box, and he can, instead of a team having to challenge a play, he can radio down to the referees. Why couldn't that? Why didn't that happen on that play with the Rams and the Steelers? I understand that the Rams didn't have no more challenges or couldn't challenge because they didn't have no more timeouts. But we you see throughout the game where a call get changed like that without a coach having to challenge because of that expedited replay to the other ref. Why was that? Why was that not used? That's one of the questions I've had, and I've heard nobody talk about it.
I don't know. Maybe the refs had to be somewhere. Maybe they didn't want the game to go to overtime. I don't know. Maybe they were tired. They wanted the day to finally come to an end. I can't really speculate or answer that question, but I do know that this starts to ruin the integrity of the game because of these no calls or these terrible calls. And the inconsistencies that we have seen with the officiating, and it's bad for the league. It's not a good look at all. And yes, you're gonna have people questioning whether or not the NBA is rigged. You know, like I saw that one play and I was like, how? I can't remember what game it was, but the refs blew their whistle and said it was roughing the passer. And I looked at
Yeah.
the play and I was saying, how is that roughing the passer? You know, I think the refs today have been influencing the outcome of these games with a terrible yet massively impactful calls, and it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. The NFL needs to get a handle on the officiating.
Oh yeah, yep, they definitely do because this really stood out this week in a few games. Speaking of this weekend, we had some pretty good games. Colts and Browns went 39-38. I don't think anybody thought that game would be a shootout, with the Browns defense. That was a shootout. The Dolphins and Eagles played each other. That was a good game with the Eagles ended up pulling away with a couple score win there toward the end. Steelers and Rams, I still think that game maybe could have been a little different. Rams did take a bad call there at the end, but that was a good game. Chargers and Chiefs was a pretty good game there for a while. But Chargers like usual with Brandon State since Brandon Staley's been at the helm. They just ain't been able to figure out how to win those close games. Broncos got a big win over the Packers, which kind of surprised me a little bit. So it was a pretty interesting weekend. Then 49ers losing last night to the Vikings was surprising. So NFL starting to get interesting as we're getting a little bit closer to being about halfway through the season.
It just shows you the parity in the league. You know, there are a lot of good teams in both leagues and in all of these divisions. I mean, you look at the way Lamar Jackson performed for the Ravens against the Detroit Lions. Like, it looked like he has returned to MVP form. Like, Lamar Jackson looks like the Lamar Jackson that we've seen when he first entered the league.
And the Lions look like the same old Lions.
And the Lions look like the same old Lions. But I was really impressed with Lamar Jackson's play on Sunday. I thought he was outstanding. He was throwing the ball more. He was efficient throwing the football. And I think if he runs less and he throws the football more, I think he's a more effective quarterback. And we saw that. Now, don't get too big-headed and don't get in over your head and start running the football like you're a running back. Don't play like a running back, because when you played like a running back, what happened? You didn't perform at your best. So I think if he throws more, if he airs it out a little bit more, be more of a passing quarterback, because he was good in the pocket. You know, he was finding his receivers. He was hitting his receivers. Just a great performance out of him. And then the Lions, man, they regressed in week 7. I don't know what happened to them, but they look like the same old Lions, that helpless, hopeless Lions team that we got used to seeing over the years. And then next week they'll bounce back and have a great performance after putting up a clunker. I mean, that's what we've been seeing in the NFL. It's been up and down. And then the Buffalo Bills is another team that's been up and down. It's fluctuating. I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen. Josh Allen doesn't look like himself. He's probably the most reckless quarterback in the NFL. And you've heard me say that before. Defense is not the same without Leslie Frazier. It's just a completely different defense out there. I don't know how they will adjust with the defense that they have. And then the offense just looks stagnant. At times they stagnated. So I don't know. And then another thing is the 49ers. Now, look, Brock Purdy is a human. Okay? I think we've seen that in the last couple of Sundays now, right? The 49ers have lost back-to-back games. They lost to teams they should have beaten. Yes, the Cleveland Browns, but the Cleveland Browns have a top-ranked defense. And you look back to last week's game, Brock Purdy, he executed that final drive well. It was more on Jake Moody, the kicker, who missed a critical field goal. I mean, you can't really place all the blame on Brock Purdy. And when you look at last night's game, the Monday night game against the Vikings on the road, I thought Brock Purdy played well for 3 quarters. It turned out to be a disastrous fourth quarter for him, where he threw those 2 picks. He threw the game-ending interception towards the end there. But I thought he was good for 3 quarters. I think the big question for me with him is, can he elevate this offense without some of those weapons around him? See, we all know what Brock Purdy can do with the weapons around him and with the weapons at his disposal. We know that if he takes care of the football, if he protects the football, and if he makes enough plays, that the 49ers have a great chance of winning the game, because the 49ers have a stout defense and they have weapons. But it showed yesterday that they missed Trent Williams a lot. They definitely miss Deebo Samuel because they don't have that same explosiveness on offense without Deebo Samuel. So I think his absence really showed in Monday night's contest. And then you have a Christian McCaffrey who's still banged up. He's not 100%, so he's not as explosive as he could be. And then he also had that fumble in the game yesterday as well. And then here's the more impressive thing. The way the Vikings played. Kirk Cousins looked like a Super Bowl winning quarterback yesterday. Kirk Cousins looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, that might have been the best game of his career. What we saw from Kirk Cousins yesterday. I mean, it was phenomenal. And then you talk about Jordan Addison, my guy from USC. Oh, man, what a performance he had. He put on an absolute show out there. It was a clinic, an offensive clinic from the Vikings. And here's another thing. The O-line was impressive because the O-line allowed 0 sacks against a very good 49ers defense. 0 sacks. So it was an all-around performance from the Vikings against a very good 49ers team. And what I think, too, I think a lot of these teams, they don't fear the 49ers like they once did. I think that fear has been dispelled, if you want to say that. These teams are not afraid of the 49ers. They're not intimidated at all.
Yeah. And when it goes back to Brock Purdy, I don't put all of these 2 losses on him, because execution has hurt the 49ers these last 2 games. We missed field goals. In last night's game, you're getting ready to score points. McCaffrey fumbles the ball. You also missed a field goal in that first half. So the score of that first half could have been a little bit different. But you are right about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been playing, but he's been playing pretty good football all season. A lot of people hasn't been talking about it because the Vikings have been losing. But back to the 49ers real quick. I think what their biggest problem is, I don't think it's Purdy at quarterback. It did hurt them not having Samuel, but their biggest problem in these last 2 games, the biggest difference you've seen between them winning and losing is usually the 49ers are one of the most physical teams you see in the NFL. The last 2 weeks, they have got beaten on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They did against the Browns last week, and then the Vikings last night beat them at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. 49ers team with Bosa and all them guys had no sacks against the offensive line that has not been performing that great this year. But that offensive line was able to control the line of scrimmage against that defensive line. And then the 49ers offensive line had trouble containing Minnesota's defensive line last night. McCaffrey couldn't get McCaffrey going, really running the ball. There was times where Purdy was under pressure. I think that's been the biggest difference you've seen in the 49ers over the last 2 weeks compared to earlier in the season is they're not winning the line of scrimmage with the physicality like they were earlier in the season.
And I also thought George Kittle kind of got involved late in the game. Like, he wasn't getting a lot of targets early in the game. I think you started to see him, play a larger role late in the game. I think they got him involved a little bit too late because he was clearly outplayed by TJ. How you pronounce his last name? The tight end on the Vikings?
Hawkinson.
Yeah, he was clearly outplayed by him. Last night.
Hawkinson had a big game. Hawkinson and Addison both had big games for the Vikings.
Addison was absolutely sensational last night, man. That's that fight on mentality right there.
But no, it was like I said, I thought the 49ers would win the game, but Minnesota looked good last night. But 49ers have to get back to playing physical at the line of scrimmage. That's been what they've been kind of better than about anybody at. And in the last 2 weeks, it hasn't showed up.
That's the thing, right? They got out physical, right? They were out physical. And now you got people reacting like Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is saying the 49ers can't be had and all that.
Jerry Jones needs to stay.
He needs to stay in his lane. He needs to stay in his lane because I was about to say your Cowboys can be had as well. So don't talk too much. Don't run your mouth too much now because if there's one guy that needs to take a look at himself in the mirror, it's probably Jerry Jones because your team, we've said some things about your team as well. And the last time I checked, the 49ers embarrassed them. So maybe he's a little salty with a comment like that. But last night, that was a tough loss. It was probably a long flight to think about everything. But it's nothing to panic over. I think this team still stick together. I think they will turn it around. However it may happen. This is still an elite 49ers team.
Yeah. And you're not going to go undefeated.
Right.
I mean, chances are you're not going undefeated. We haven't seen somebody go undefeated and win the Super Bowl in years and years and years. So it's not like you're not going to go the whole season without losing at least one game. So, hey, you've lost a couple games. Now you just got to start stacking wins again. I still think they're an elite team. They're going to get healthy. They have to start getting more physical at the line of scrimmage like they were earlier in the year, and I think they'll start having success again.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on that as well. I think they need to get fully healthy and they need to dominate the line of scrimmage. That's very critical for the 49ers, and I think they can do that. Like I said, I think they're one of the most lethal teams in the NFL on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, this is still a team to watch out for. I mean, yeah, they slipped up now twice. It wasn't their best performance last night, nor against the Browns. But I think this is a wake up call for them. This is harsh reality, and we all know, Gonzo. Anything can happen on any given Sunday, any given Monday, whatever day you're playing on, anything can happen. But I thought Cameron Bynum was absolutely impressive. It was inspirational to see him at the end of the game He had 2 interceptions last night. He had the 2 interceptions for the Minnesota Vikings in that game. But it was great to see. He always plays for his family's country, the Philippines. And, that was just great to see after the game. I know the 49er fans feel a little dejected, but there's no need to overreact because I think you're not the Denver Broncos. You're not the Vegas Raiders. I mean, you still got a winning record. Your team is above 500. You have proven that you can beat teams that is as good as you. And maybe for the Vikings, maybe this is something they can build on going into next week. You got to feel pretty good about yourself beating a very good 49ers team. That means good things to come. Maybe you beat the 49ers, and if you beat the 49ers, I mean, you can pretty much beat any team. And the Vikings, man, they've been in some close games this season. They lost all their games. The games they lost, I believe they lost by a touchdown. So yeah. I mean, they've been in some tough battles with teams, and they just fell short in each game. The games that they lost.
Oh yeah, they've been in a lot of close games, and last year they were winning those close games, and this year they've been coming up on the short end of those close games. So, seems like the ball's been bouncing the other way on them this year early in the season, but they've won a couple games in a row. Looks like they might be able to turn it around a little bit, especially if they can win a few games while they're waiting on Jefferson to get back, because that should be a boost for their offense. They get him back, especially with the way Addison is playing. So, but no, the Vikings have looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Yep, back to winning football games like they were a year ago.
Yep. What do you think about this Packers team? Is Jordan Love they're going to be the guy?
You know what? I can't really evaluate him until November. Give me to November and I'll get back to you on that. I mean, this is still a young quarterback. What people got to realize is that he is still developing. I mean, look, when Aaron Rodgers played in his first season, he was 6-11, I believe. If that's right, if the record is right. He didn't have his best season in his first full year. So, I mean, you got to give this guy time, and I'm still on the Jordan Love hype train for now. I'm not saying that it's going to be that way forever. But, yeah, he did look pretty awful in that game. He threw what, 2 interceptions in the game?
Yeah. I'm not completely out on him either, but I was disappointed because I thought he would look better coming off a bye week. Than what he did. He looked like he regressed instead of progressing.
Yeah, he did.
That was a little disappointing. But I mean, you're right. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks. I mean, Peyton Manning was 3-13 his first year. Is it all on the quarterback? No, it's because you have to have talent around you too. I think Green Bay has some talent around them, but I think that there's also some young talent. The receivers are second-year guys. They don't have a whole lot of veterans on there. They've had injuries with Aaron Jones and then losing Bakatari on their offensive line. Their offensive line has been a big problem since Bakatari hasn't been in the lineup. So I'm not going to put it all on him, but you at some point you got to start seeing a progression, and I don't think have seen that much here the last couple games.
And see, that's the thing too. He's trying to get on the same page with his receivers. He's trying to develop that chemistry. He's trying to learn each of their styles and how they play, and everything like that. So yeah, I think it's gonna take some time. This is not an overnight process. People need to be patient with him. I know Green Bay is not going to be patient with him because Green Bay fans became spoiled over the years because they, obviously had a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the greatest to ever do it, one of the most talented quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers. Well, now you don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. You're freaking out because you got a young quarterback. You're going in a new era with this guy, and you expect him to turn it on like that and be Aaron Rodgers and all that.
Well, and the fact is, Green Bay fans have been spoiled because you went from Brett Favre who was one of the better quarterbacks in that era, to Aaron Rodgers. For 30 plus years, they've had the luxury of having great quarterback play, where most franchises don't get that. So Green Bay fans have been spoiled because they're used to having that quarterback, and now they're in a situation where they're trying to figure out if they have him or not.
I want to say what's up to our viewers.
Yeah, what's up, Rob?
2 cents. What's up, Greg? Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. We appreciate the love. Thanks for tuning into the show. What's up, Big Baby Jonathan? I know Big Baby's probably a little bummed tonight that the Lakers lost the first game of the season, but there's still 81 games left to be played. So, I mean, there's still plenty of season left. It's only one game, and I'm not the type of person that's going to sit here and base things off of one game. I'm not going to do that. And they played
Anthony Davis disappeared. Anthony Davis disappeared in the second half of that game.
But that's the thing. You can't expect him to do it all. Yes, he had a monstrous first half. He was a dominant force in the first half, right? But then someone else has to pick it up. Someone else has to pick up the slack. And you got enough guys on that roster that they can contribute, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So no, don't come with me with that excuse. Yes, AD has to be the leader. Yes, LeBron has to eventually pass the torch to him. But at the same time, you can't expect him to be the team. You can't expect him to be swatting shots on one end, then coming down the other end of the floor, being aggressive on that end and making all the shots and everything. That's not going to win you basketball games. Everyone else is going to have to contribute. Now, the Lakers went out this offseason. They built the team. They assembled the team. They gotten better. They got some major upgrades. They got some new pieces. Now it's all about putting it together. But you got to give this time, too. It's a new experiment. You got to let these guys gel together. These guys got to come together. As time goes, you'll see a more cohesive team. There will be more cohesion out of this Laker team, but you got to give it time. And again, it was just one game, and it was against a very good Nuggets team on a night in their building where they had the championship ring trophy presentation, where they got their banner raised in the rafters and they received their rings. You think they were going to lose on a night like this when they had Jokic on the floor and Jamal Murray and everyone else from last season minus Bruce Brown? You think they really were going to falter in this game? The Lakers come into their building and beat them? No, that wasn't happening. Not at all.
I didn't think they were going to lose. I took the Nuggets at the -5.5 on one of my picks I gave out today.
Yeah.
The reason I brought up AD because I knew it would get you going. But
Well,
plus when you're watching the game on TV, I watched a little bit of the game, and all of the announcer kept talking about was how Davis had to score no points in the second half, and I was just cracking up. That's all they were talking about the whole second half.
He disappeared in the second half, which was a major difference for the Lakers in the second half, which is probably why they couldn't really get back in the game in the second half, because he wasn't the same dominant AD that he was in the first half. But again, someone else is going to have to pick it up, because what if he gets hurt again? What are you going to do? Someone else is going to be the next man up. Someone else is going to have to step up. But again, it's only one game. It's a small sample size. There's no need to hit the panic button. I think the Lakers are the third best team in the Western Conference. I put them behind the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. The Suns got a bench now.
You think the Lakers are going to be better than the Warriors?
I think so. I think they can be better than the Warriors. I think so. With the roster that they have now, with the way the team is constructed, yes.
My team don't play till tomorrow. I'm a Pacer fan. We open our season tomorrow.
And to me, the Lakers got a solid bench too now. The Suns got a okay bench now too. I remember last year, the problem with the Phoenix Suns is that they didn't really have no one that can come off the bench. They didn't really have a scoring option off the bench. They didn't have no one that could provide a spark coming off the bench.
Bradley Beal isn't playing tonight for the Suns with a back injury, but from what I hear, he'll be back either Thursday or Saturday.
Right. So there you go.
The Warriors are beating the Suns 86-80 right now, getting ready to start the fourth with 6 seconds left in the third quarter.
My only question with the Warriors, and you still have the Splash Brothers. You have Klay Thompson and you have Steph Curry, the purest shooter in the game. We all know that, right? The best shooter in NBA history, a pure marksman. But he's 35 now. Klay Thompson's in his 30s. Chris Paul is in his 30s now. He's a veteran. I like that you have a veteran presence now. On the floor, you got a guy that can be the brain of the operation. He knows how to run the floor. Chris Paul's a step slower now, though. You could pick him up 90 feet and make him a half court player. Now, so I mean, it's a lot different with Chris Paul. The thing is,
but the Warriors don't need Chris Paul. The Warriors don't need Chris Paul to be a star. They need.
But can he elevate those other guys like Moody or give me another name? Can he elevate those guys?
Well, you can't forget Wiggins. Wiggins has been a real solid player for the Warriors.
Wiggins has been a great two-way player for the Warriors. Yeah. You're right. He has been an excellent two-way player. He gets it done on both ends of the floor as well. So you're absolutely right. But the Warriors are definitely going to be a top team in the Western Conference, no question about it. Can the Dallas Mavericks be a top team in the Western Conference? Can they be a top 5 team in the Western Conference? Where will you rank the Clippers? I think what it all comes down to for the Clippers is the health of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. If those two guys can stay healthy.
Because I think the Clippers might have made a run in the playoffs last year if them guys could have stayed healthy, because they were looking good and then Kawhi went down. RC, I've been a Pacer fan forever. I think the Pacers are going to be a playoff team this season. I really do. I think that we're going to be a playoff team. I like that they brought in Brown. I like some of the rookies we got. I think last year what killed the Pacers was defense and rebounding. I think we're going to be better at both those this year than we were last year. Scoring points wasn't our problem. We were scoring 35 points a game, but we were giving up 140 a game. So defense had to get better, and rebounding really killed us. But I think we got better than at those areas. So I'm looking forward to the Pacers season starting. And they start off against Washington tomorrow night in Indianapolis. So I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, the Pacers, man, they're going to be a team to watch out for in the Eastern Conference for sure. And then, of course, you got the big boys like the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, and I feel like I'm forgetting a team.
Oh, I know you're ready, Glenn. Glenn's a member of Turner's Block.
The Celtics. How could I? I'm forgetting the Celtics.
Yeah, but Glenn says he's ready. I know he's ready for the Pacer game. He's a member of.
Oh, I know he's ready.
He's a member of Turner's Block, one of the fan zones there at the Pacer game. So he'll be there tomorrow night. So I know he was looking forward to the season starting.
I know he's ready. I was ready for the Lakers tonight.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about that. I'm tired of hearing about that every year.
God, isn't that so annoying? That resurfaces every
season. Yes.
Oh my goodness! If you're gonna trade them, trade them.
All right, Judge was. RC said, "Sports Judge, you forgot the Knicks."
Oh yes, I did forget the Knicks. Yeah, I like Jalen Brunson. I mean, he's an underrated point guard. This guy can initiate the offense, man. He can make people on the floor around him better. I like Jalen Brunson. I think that was a great signing. It turned out to be a pretty good signing, and people at first they bashed it. You know, they were saying that he was overpay, that it was an overpay, that they were giving him too much money to be a star player when he really isn't a star player. Turned out they were wrong because he's a damn good player, you know. But yeah, I did forget the Knicks. He's right. The Knicks are another team to look out for, and I'm excited about that game tomorrow too. The Celtics and the Knicks. That's going to be a good game. That's on ESPN, I believe. And then then you got the Mavericks and the Spurs. Now the Spurs are going to be interesting and exciting to watch this year because they got Wemby. They got the #1 draft pick in this year's draft, and I'm excited to see that kid. I want to see him play a real NBA game. And I get my chance to see him tomorrow. So I expect the Spurs to get a lot more nationally televised games because of him, because of the generational talent that he can be. And I think this guy's going to be a problem. From what I saw in the preseason game, you know, everyone talked about what he did in summer league and how he, you know, didn't play his best brand of basketball. But that was summer league. You saw what he did in preseason, man. We got a glimpse of what the future could look like in San Antonio.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like in the regular season. Also, Pelicans and Grizzlies tomorrow could be interesting as well. Was Zion being back? So that
yeah. I was pretty bummed to hear the news about Steven Adams. That sucks.
Yep.
He's gonna miss the entire season, man. That sucks. But yeah, the Grizzlies are a fun team. The Pelicans are fun with Zion Williamson. Let's see if he can stay healthy and on a diet plan. I mean, that's the big question with him. You know, stay away from the candy bars and hit the local salad bar.
All right, Judge, was there anything else that you wanted to hit on tonight before we get out of here?
Man, we covered it all, man. This was another great episode of Gonzo and the Judge, man. I had so much fun. I had a blast once again tonight.
Also, don't make sure you check us out on social media. You can find the Sports Judge on YouTube and Facebook at the Sports Judge. You can find me, Gonzo, at Gonzo Sports Room on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Join us for all. We're live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode of Gonzo and the Judge. You have anything to add, Judge?
I just want to say that our viewers are the best. We really appreciate you. We know there's a lot of options out there, but thank you guys for watching so much. We really appreciate you guys. And you guys can keep up with me on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button for me. And also, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, SportsJudge85. You guys can find me on Twitter, SportsJudge85. And you guys can find me on TikTok as well, the SportsJudge85. But where I'm mostly active is my page on Facebook. Just look up the Sports Judge and I should pop up, like, and follow.
All right. Same thing. Please like, follow, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and Facebook at Gonzo Sports Room. I would greatly appreciate it as well. This has been Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk. We'll be back Thursday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. Until then, enjoy your sports, and we'll see you guys next time.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.